Hello students and hello all. So here I am Ms. Amrita Sadhav welcoming you to the series of wave optics, and in which we have covered two parts, and I am going to give you the part 3, and in part 3 we are going to cover a very important part of a wave optics, and which is nothing but polarization. Only one concept that we are going to see in this video, which is polarization. Okay, so let's move towards. Obviously, first will be what we have done yesterday, that is in previous lecture what we have done. So let's remind what we have seen. What was the point which covered in yesterday's lecture? That was construction of spherical and plane wavefront that we have seen by using Huygens principle, right? Then we have covered reflection of light, then refraction of light, which gives you Snell's law, which is the relation between incident ray and refracted ray and even refractive indices. Yes, that we have covered yesterday. And dependence of wavelength on medium, and even dependence of frequency and speed on the medium. What is the dependency of wavelength and medium? The wavelength will goes on decreases as we change the medium from rarer to denser. It depends on the medium, and there will be no effect on the frequency. Frequency will be same even if we change the medium of light to travel. Alright, either it is rarer or it is denser. Whatever medium is there, frequency will be same. So this we have covered in the previous lecture, which is part 2 of wave optics, and now let us move towards part 3, and in which we are going to cover a very interesting phenomena of wave, which is polarizes and polarization. So here you can see what happens in polarize. Sometime when you change the angle of that, it gets darker, and even when you change the angle, it will get brighter. This can be used in goggles, so goggle is there. All right, so let's see what is that exactly. So polarization, we'll see some basic concepts related to polarization first, and then we'll move towards how we get polarized light, where it is used, and what happens if we consider a polarized light in daily life. What is the application of that? So let's move towards to study polarization. All right, if we consider, as we know already, that a light wave is consisting of transverse electromagnetic wave. I am saying transverse electromagnetic wave because polarization can occur only in transverse waves, not in longitudinal waves. What is the difference between longitudinal and transverse wave? Transverse waves are the waves in which particles of that wave vibrate in direction perpendicular to the propagation of light, and in longitudinal waves the particle will vibrate parallel to the vibration or parallel to the direction of propagation. So that we are not going to apply, and basically longitudinal waves polarization doesn't happen. Only in transverse electromagnetic wave that we are going to consider, only in that case polarization occur. Okay, so according to wave theory of light, light is a transverse electromagnetic wave. And what is electromagnetic wave? We have seen this in 11th standard and as well as in part 1 also. Electromagnetic waves are generated by two kinds of fields. First is electric field and second one is magnetic field, and both these fields are perpendicular to each other, right? Out of this two vectors, electric vectors, which actually decides the optical characteristics of light. Okay, as we said, electromagnetic light waves consisting of two waves, two fields, electric and magnetic, but out of these two, only electric field or electric vector decides the optical characteristics of light. Okay, so this is nothing but electrolization, or when the variation in the electric field are taking place. When the variation in electric field is taking place in only one plane, that is called as plane polarized or linearly polarized light. We are going to study this in very detail, and we are going to see the definitions and many concepts which are related to that we are going to see. Okay, so don't worry. And even the practical about this polarization is there in your practical handbook, so you are going to study about polarization practically also, so don't worry. Okay, so let us move towards to see the details about polarization. See, now we are going to consider polarization in about three axes: x axis, y axis and z axis. If we consider two axes are already reserved for electric and magnetic field, then why third axis is there? We are going to consider a new atom which emits a wave, suppose that is along x axis. When one another atom emits a light wave along x axis, and its electric field may be along another axis, may be along y or maybe along z axis, and respective to that electric field axis, magnetic field will take another axis. Alright, so let us assume that when an atom emits light wave, it is along x axis, electric fields of that is along y axis, and magnetic field is along z axis. Now all of this will be perpendicular to each other, obviously. All right, it is not necessary that, or it is not fixed that electric field should be along y and magnetic field should be along z. It may be anywhere along x, y, z, but that should be perpendicular to each other. That's the only one condition. All right, in general we are going to consider x axis by a light source, y axis by electric, and z axis by magnetic field. All right, so if we consider that one atom which emits the light wave as sun or stars or a light bulb, it will emit light waves in all possible direction, and this is because of this we have studied in Huygens principle. This is primary source of light, so they will start to emit light waves in all possible direction, and it is in forward direction only. So as it emit light waves in all possible directions, what happens to the electric field and what happens to the magnetic field which is there inside it? What happens? They will try to roam in various directions. So such light is called as unpolarized light. All right, and it is given by actually double headed arrows showing the direction of electric field. They can move anywhere. So these are unpolarized light. All right, now other hand, if we consider a light which is restricted along only one plane, it is known as plane polarized light. All right, in one case we are going to consider a primary sources which we have seen, sun, planets or electric bulb. They will emit light wave in all possible direction. There will be no specific direction to go, so this will be unpolarized light, and that is given by double headed arrow. And in other hand, what we have seen, if electric field is constrained or restricted to move only in one direction, then it is called as plane polarized light. Okay, so this is all about unpolarized light and polarized light. I hope you all got this. Okay, so next is, okay, now I have given two pictures, and amongst this you are going to verify which one is polarized and which one is unpolarized. Okay, so here is the first pic and here is the second pic. So amongst these two pics, which one is polarized and which one is unpolarized? Can you tell me? See, again I am showing you this. First one is, yes, it is unpolarized because light waves are emitted in all possible direction, so that will be unpolarized light. And second one is polarized light. here. It is constrained to or restricted to move only in one direction. So this is unpolarized and this is polarized light. Okay, so I hope you got the concept polarized and unpolarized. Okay, so have a look in this diagram. What is happening over here? Many waves which are interfering to each other are moving from one slab, and then it comes out to be only one light wave which is constrained and restricted to move only in one direction. So by distinguishing by recent definitions, we can say this is unpolarized light and this is polarized light. So as this light contains many fields, the light source emits light waves, and that is consisting of electric field and magnetic field. And after going through this slab, what happens? All the other waves get blocked and only electric field is moving forward, and which is restricted to move in only one direction. So this is nothing but polarization, and this is how we get polarized light. So here is the question, how can we get polarized light? So here is the answer already. How can we get? But the question is, what is this? Through which light is passing and we are getting a polarized light. What is this? Let us see. What is this? There are some certain types of materials which allow only those light waves which have their electric field along particular direction to pass through and block all other waves which have their electric field in other direction, like this. These are having many fields which is there inside it, but due to this it is blocking all the light waves and only electric field is going forward, which is polarized, which is getting polarized. So this apparatus or this material is known as polarizer. Okay, so this is called as polarizer, which allow the light wave to pass through it and only electric field vectors are moving forward to get the polarized light. Okay, so let's move forward to see what is Polaroid then. A Polaroid is a kind of synthetic plastic sheet which is used as polarizer. As we have seen what is polarizer, but Polaroid is a kind of synthetic plastic sheet which is used as a polarizer. The particular direction along which the electric field, now the definitions are there which are related to this polarization. Before moving towards this, let us see first a diagram. Here is the diagram in which you can see a light bulb is there which is emitting light wave in forward direction. So this will you get is unpolarized light, and through this is Polaroid. Polaroid is nothing but synthetic plastic sheet, and through which when light is emitting you will get a polarized light towards. Alright, when you are watching from here like this, when the observer is here, you will see only polarized light. Okay, so what will be the polarizing axis? What will be the plane of vibration? What will be the plane of polarization? Let's see the definitions which are related to this concept. As you can see over here, the particular direction along which the electric field of emergent wave is oriented is called as polarizing angle. See here, as the unpolarized light is passing through it in a particular direction, it is moving through this. So this particular direction or this particular thing is nothing but polarizing axis of polarizer. Okay, when unpolarized light passes through polarizer, the emergent light is plane polarized. Okay, next is plane of vibration. What will be plane of vibration? The plane containing the electric field vector. The plane which contains the electric field vectors is called as plane of vibration, and the plane perpendicular to the plane of vibration is called as plane of polarization. Now can you see the diagram and verify where is the plane of vibration and where is the plane of polarization. Observe the diagram, then you will come to know where is the plane of vibration and where is the plane of polarization. Where it is? Here. This is plane of vibration and this is plane of polarization, because the light is get polarized. Here A, B, C, D containing the electric field vector of plane polarized light. So this is plane of vibration. A, B, C, D containing electric field vectors and of plane polarized light, and the perpendicular, it is here, block is nothing but plane of polarization. So this is it. Now what happens if we consider two Polaroids to put in front of each other? What will happen over there? Two Polaroids are there and unpolarized light is passed through first polarizer and then to another polarizer. What happens with that? It may depend on the angle. If the angle of both the polarizer is 0, if the angle becomes 90 of both the polarizer, then we can see light and intensity may differ. So what exactly happens over there? Let's see in next slide. Okay, so what happens to the intensity when we consider two polarizers, in amongst which we actually say first one is as analyzer and second one is as polarizer. In this diagram you can see analyzer and polarizer. We are going to see this in detail. First we are going to see this. Have a look here. Battery is there, two sheets are there. Consider Polaroid. This is unpolarized light which is passing through this and then to another. When these are parallel to each other, it will go forward in this way. So you can see the light. When first is vertical and another one is horizontal, what happens to this? Light will not go out in this case. If we consider in case of rope, if we make a wave of a rope and it passes through two blocks or two slits, it will move very easily throughout this. And if we get change the angle first and second, see the angle is got changed, what happens to the wave? See in this way. So this is all about polarization. Okay, so let's see. We are going to see what is the effect to the intensity of light. Okay, so we are going to consider in two ways. First is we are going to consider about unpolarized light and then we are going to consider about linearly polarized light. Okay, so considering unpolarized light which is having angular frequency omega and wave vector k, which is nothing but 2 pi upon lambda, and it is traveling along x direction. Okay, the magnitude of electric field will be E is equal to E0 sin kx minus omega t. Now from where you got this equation? So the answer is you have got this equation from 11th standard only. So this is the equation which we have derived in previous standard itself. And the chapter is 13th chapter. Okay, so E0 is being amplitude, then the intensity of wave will be proportional to what? Amplitude, obviously. So we are going to say that is as mode of E0 square. What is why we put a mod over there? Because if we get a negative, then it will get rejected or neglected. So we are getting mod over here. The direction of electric field can be anywhere along y and z plane, as we have seen in previous. We will consider the passage of this wave through two polarizers. Okay, two polarizers are there, and if two polarizers are there, we have to consider some angle by which it is moving. So let us consider that angle is phi. As the angle is there, so we have to consider either in case of cos or in case of sine. We are going to consider in case of cos. So let us consider the particular wave having its electric field at an angle phi to the axis of first polarizer, the component is E cos phi. What will be another component? It will be E sin phi, obviously. It should be E0 itself, because E0 is being the amplitude of wave. Okay, so first component is E0 cos phi and normal component is E0 sin phi. Okay, so the intensity will depend on, now will be E0 cos phi square. So for unpolarized incident wave, we can have all the values which is ranging from 0 to 180 degree. They are ranging from 0 to 180 degree, and minimum and maximum values will be there. Now we have to take the average of E0 cos phi square. What will be the average value of that? So that value will be half average value. So the intensity of wave will be proportional to half of E0 square. So we are getting a conclusion is the intensity of an unpolarized light reduced by half after passing through a polarizer. I am repeating, the intensity of unpolarized light wave reduced by half after passing through polarizer. Okay, so this is the conclusion when we consider a unpolarized light to pass through polarizer, two polarizers. Okay, now let us consider linearly polarized light. What happens to linearly polarized light? Again we are going to consider an equation in which we have to consider E1 is equal to J E10 sin kx minus omega t. Now why we are going to consider this E1 and E10? Why this is so? Because in previous we have just seen only E0 cos phi. This is because linearly polarized light is there. So as linearly polarized light is there, the electric field is nothing but it is constrained to move in y direction or x direction. It may be anywhere. So we are going to consider this is along y direction because J is there. If it is along x direction, I cap should be there. If it is along y direction, you can say this as J cap. If it is along z direction, it should be K cap over there. Okay, we are assuming that electric field is along y direction. So you are getting even bar should be there. Even bar is equal to J cap E10 sin kx minus omega t. What is omega t over here? Angular frequency. Then where E10 is what? Amplitude of polarized wave. This polarized wave. Okay. The intensity of polarized wave will be, what will be intensity? That is I1 is equal to or proportional to mod of E10 square. Again when it is passing through second, it should create some angle. So E10 cos theta will be one angle, second will be E0 sin theta. We are going to consider E10 cos theta. As it is through second polarizer, so it should be E20, that is nothing but E10 cos theta. Okay, so E2 is proportional to like this, as we have written over here E10 square, we are going to write over here E20 square. But what is E20? E20 is nothing but E10 cos theta. By putting the value, we are getting I2 proportional to E0 square cos square theta. But what is E0 square? I1. So this is I2 is equal to I1 cos square theta. So this is known as Malus law. After E.L. Malus, who discovered this law experimentally, he has given the relation between intensities. Malus law gives the intensity of linearly polarized wave after it passes through a polarizer, and it is nothing but I2 is equal to I1 cos square theta. After having look at all these derivations and all this equation, what we come to know is only transverse waves can be polarized. Then intensity depends on the angle of the polarizer. What is Polaroid? Polaroid is a plastic sheet through which when unpolarized light is passed, we get the polarized light to another side. So this is all we got from all this slide. Okay, so let's move towards the next. So what will be the next point here? When we change the angle, what happens exactly? See, as we have seen, if we consider two polarizer, first one is considered as polarizer and second one is considered as analyzer. It analyzes, so it is analyzer. When these are parallel to each other, so have a look at this diagram also. When it changes by angle, what amount of light is get excluded? I am saying excluded. That means when light is excluded, intensity will goes on decreases, right? Transmitted light is given by this yellow color and analyzer transmission axis is in black color. So let us consider, if we put two polarizers in front of each other and we focused or give light to that, and we are going to observe from the another axis, and one of the polarizer is moving and we can change the angle by moving that polarizer, what happens to the light and what happens to the intensity which is given by this single image? See, when these two polarizers are parallel to each other, no light is excluded. That means you are getting a same light which is focusing on that. When one is moved towards 30 degree, then you are getting this much amount of light is excluded, so intensity goes on decreases. If you increase that angle to 60 degree, more amount of light is got excluded, intensity goes on decreases again. And if you took 90 degree, that is both are when perpendicular to each other, you will not able to see the light. Okay, so this is all about polarizer. Don't worry, we are going to see the exact experimental arrangement of this and you are going to perform this experiment, so don't worry about it. This is very easy to understand. Now the next one and last point of this is Brewster's law, which depends on again on polarization. What does it give? When a polarized light is incident on a transparent medium, what will happen over there? Obviously the light will get either transmitted or either it will get reflected. So we are going to consider when a light is incident on at an angle on a boundary between transparent medium. Have a look at this diagram here. When a light is incident on this two transparent medium, boundary of two transparent medium having refractive indexes n1 and n2 respectively. First medium will having refractive index n1, second medium is having refractive index n2. When it got incident, unpolarized light incident from medium of refractive index n1, and this is perpendicular, or we can say normal, which is drawn to this. Why to draw a normal? To get the angle of polarization and to get the angle of refraction. Okay, as it get refracted to another medium, so we have to consider the angle of refraction. To get that angle, we have drawn the normal to it. The incident wave is unpolarized. This is unpolarized light wave. Okay, its electric field, which is in the plane perpendicular to the direction of incidence, is resolved into two components. Its electric field is resolved into two components, one parallel to the plane of paper shown by double arrows, and second one is by dots, which is reflected back in the same medium. So these are having two components. Okay, both have equal magnitudes. So when a light is incident on transparent medium at a polarizing angle, the reflected light is plane polarized in the plane of incidence. In this situation, reflected and refracted rays are perpendicular to each other. This is what we are going to prove. And he also proved that the tangent of angle, that means tan of polarizing angle, is nothing but refractive index of the refracting medium. Okay, so this is the statement of the Brewster's law. Okay, tan of polarizing angle will give you refractive index of the medium. So this is nothing but Brewster's law. Okay, so let us consider what are the angles. Theta B, here in the next slide. Theta B and theta R. What are theta B? Theta B is nothing but angle of incidence, and theta R is nothing but angle of refraction. Here you can see the addition of 3 of this. If this is theta B, again this is also theta B, angle of polarization. Addition of 3 of this will be what? 180 degree. And then addition of both of this will be what? 90 degree, obviously, because theta B plus theta R plus here 90 is equal to 180. So you are getting theta B plus theta R as 90 degree. As we have says that the angle of polarization and angle of refraction are perpendicular to each other, which we have already says. So theta B plus theta R is equal to 90 degree. Now by using refraction law, n1 theta sin theta B is equal to n2 sin theta R. This will gives you n1 sin theta B is equal to n2. This theta R, instead of theta R I am going to write 90 minus theta B. So this is n2 sin 90 minus theta B. What is cos of 90 minus theta? It is nothing but, what is sine of 90 minus theta? It is cos theta itself. So you are getting n1 sin theta B is equal to n2 cos theta B. That is nothing but n2 by n1 is equal to tan theta B, because sin by cos is nothing but tan. So you are getting the law as tan theta B is equal to n2 by n1. So what will be theta B, which is angle of polarization, will be tan inverse of n2 upon n1. So this is nothing but Brewster's law that we have experimentally proven. This has been experimentally proven by D. Brewster, the scientist D. Brewster, and this is the law which is, the name is given after him. So this is Brewster's law. Okay, what is that? Theta P is equal to tan inverse of n2 upon n1, where n1 and n2 are refractive index of two mediums. Now, after having look at all this concept, what is exactly application of Polaroid, where we can use that Polaroid? So here is the first use, that uses in motor car headlights to remove headlight glare. Obviously, if you move by some angle, light is got restricted, as we have seen. So in headlight of car to remove glare. In three-dimensional movie cameras, to adjust the light, to produce and analyze the polarized light. Obviously, it is used as a filter, that we have seen in first or third slide maybe, to that goggle. And polarization or polarizer is the effect when you click photographs. In window of aeroplane, to control amount of light, obviously we have to restrict the light in aeroplane. In polarizing sunglasses, goggles, to protect the eyes from glare of sunlight, obviously. Then in calculators, in laptops, they are used to improve color contrast. You may have seen some videos on YouTube in which you can see old paintings are get painted, or they got some reaction on it, and it suddenly it comes out to be new one. So that is nothing but to improve they improve the color contrast. How they improve the color contrast? By using this Polaroid and polarizers. So they are used to improve color contrast in old oil paintings. Okay, they are used in calculators, watches, monitors of laptops which have LCD screens. So these all are the uses of Polaroid. This question may ask for 2 marks, and for 2 marks you can write 4 uses. These are very easy uses and you come across all these uses. So this is very easy to remember. Okay. So this is all about today's lecture, in which we have studied polarized light, how to get that polarized light, what is Polaroids, what are the uses of that, and we have seen the Brewster's law also. So this is all about today. Thank you for watching.